For millions of us, hopping on a train is just part of the daily grind. It's routine, right? It gets you where you need to go. But behind all that everyday reliability is a really stark reality. Accidents happen. And when they do, when it's a person and a train, the consequences are just unimaginable. So today we're going to dig into a tough question. What actually happens to your body if you're hit by a train?
And this is really the heart of it, isn't it? It's one of those morbidly curious questions, but it deserves a real factual answer. I think a lot of us have this picture in our heads, maybe from movies, of what it looks like. But the reality? Well, it's way more complex and, frankly, a lot more disturbing.
So to really get a sense of the scale here, let's just look at the numbers. In Japan alone, just in 2023, there were 396 incidents where someone came into contact with a train on a station platform. Think about that. This isn't some rare once-in-a-blue-moon thing. It's happening more than once a day.
And the outcome of those 396 accidents? Roughly 200 people died. That's a fatality rate of around 50%. It just hammers home the incredible danger we're talking about, and why it's so critical to understand what is at stake. Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the risks people face every day. Then, we'll break down the anatomy of the impact itself and tackle that chilling question about consciousness. But really crucially, we'll cover how you can survive a fall. And finally, we'll talk about the lasting ripple effect these events have on literally everyone involved.
For about 20 years, the number of these incidents was actually going down, slowly but surely. But something changed around 2020. That trend completely reversed, and the numbers are climbing again, which makes figuring out prevention more important than ever.
And railway companies are, of course, trying to fight this. Platform doors are the obvious one, right? And they're fantastic for stopping accidental falls. They've even cut down on deliberate acts by about 75%. But here's a fascinating one: blue LED lights. The idea is that they have this psychologically calling effect, and some studies claim they're nearly as effective as actual physical doors.
And this is something you might not think about, but the impact goes way beyond the physical. In some places, railway companies can actually sue the family of the person involved for damages, for the delays, the cleanup, all of it. And these claims can be for staggering amounts of money, leaving a family that's already grieving with this absolutely crushing financial and emotional weight.
All right, now we have to get into the mechanics of the impact itself. What physically happens to a person? That common idea that it's this instant, explosive thing is, for the most part, a total myth.
Yeah, that whole image of a body just disintegrating, it almost never happens. The real physics of the situation lead to a few very specific and equally grim outcomes that are way more common.
So what really happens? Well, it usually comes down to one of three scenarios. A person is either caught between the wheel and the rail, they're thrown clear by the massive force of the impact, or it's a horrifying mix of both, where they're hit, then caught, and then dragged along the tracks.
When a body gets caught, the physics are just brutal. All the weight of a train car gets focused on that tiny point where the wheel meets the rail. A human body stuck between those two things, it offers almost zero resistance. The way it's described is that it's like a knife cutting through flesh, leading to these clean, horrifying amputation. And this quote, wow.
It shows that survival is technically possible, but at an unimaginable price. This is from a man whose lower body was caught and dragged for more than 20 meters. He lived. But he was conscious for the entire 45-minute ordeal, fighting unbearable pain until help could finally get to him.
And getting severed isn't the only outcome. In another case that was reported, a man on the tracks wasn't cut. Instead, the force was so immense that his spine and all of his internal organs were just completely crushed. He died slowly from massive internal bleeding, all while being in excruciating pain.
And that leads us to, honestly, what might be the most disturbing question in all of this. If the injury is that catastrophic, let's say decapitation, what happens to the mind? Does your awareness just switch off? The evidence suggests no, it doesn't. So let's just put it out there directly. If your head is severed from your body, what does your consciousness, your sense of self, actually experience in those final moments? Look, all the evidence we have from science and from history points to a horrifying possibility. Consciousness lingers. Rat studies show brain activity keeps going for 10 to 15 seconds after decapitation. You have historical accounts from the guillotine, like a man named Henri Languille, who reportedly kept blinking for 30 seconds after he was executed. And maybe the most chilling part? Witnesses to modern accidents have reported seeing the facial expressions on severed heads change from confusion to just pure agony. So just try to imagine that. Your final experience isn't darkness. It's watching your own body fly through the air, feeling this phantom, unimaginable pain, and then this sudden, overwhelming, and final tidal wave of regret. That is the potential reality of those last few seconds.
Okay, wow, that was a lot. But we have to shift gears here, because this is so important. There are ways to survive this. If you accidentally fall onto the tracks and a train is coming, panic is your worst enemy. There is a clear procedure, and knowing it could absolutely 100% save your life.
So you basically have two options. Your number one goal, your first priority, is to get to the designated refuge space under the platform. If you just can't make it in time, your final, last-ditch option is to lie down completely flat in that channel between the two rails.
So what exactly is a refuge space? Well, in a lot of stations, you'll find this small crawl space or an indentation built right under the edge of the platform. It's designed specifically for this exact nightmare scenario, to give you a safe place to press yourself into while the train roars past.
Now, if you can't get to that space, lying between the rails is your only other hope, but the margin for error is razor thin. We're talking about a clearance between the bottom of the train and the ground of maybe just over 20 centimeters. That's about 8 inches. You have to be as flat as you can possibly be and not move a single muscle. And finally, we have to remember this. A train accident is never just about one person. It's like dropping a stone in a pond. The ripples of trauma just spread out, and they affect dozens, sometimes hundreds of people in these deep and lasting ways.
First, you have the victim. Whether they survive or not, they experience the absolute peak of physical and mental pain. Then there's the train driver, the station staff. They're often traumatized for life. The passengers and the people on the platform who see it happen can develop severe PTSD. And like we talked about, the family is left dealing with grief, trauma, and sometimes financial ruin. It is a tragedy with so many victims.
And that just leaves us with one last really sobering thought. Whether it's a single moment of not paying attention on a platform or a deliberate choice born out of despair, the result is exactly the same. A lifetime of pain that ripples through an entire community. Is any single moment really worth that price?